You're listening to Mav Radio's Haunted Heartland on KVNO 90.7 HD2.
You're listening to the award-winning Haunted Heartland on mavradio.fm. Don't fall asleep. Fall asleep.
And welcome back to the Haunted Heartland. It's not the Haunted Heartland, but now it is. Haunted Heartland 2K,
I think you say something new every time when you come on.
2K17. We're going in hot. And this next story is by our own here in the studio, DK. So let's just dive into this. So, scary movies are low-budget, high-volume films aimed directly for an anticipated scare. Like new releases this season, Jigsaw, Happy Death Day, Snowman, It are packing theaters with people set to get into the spirit of the season.
Hiya, Georgie. What a nice boat. Do you want it back?
A horror film is a movie that seeks to elicit psychological reaction, such as an elevated heartbeat with fear and shocking one's audience. Inspired by literature from authors like Edgar Allan Poe, Bram Stoker, and Mary Shelley, the horror genre has existed for more than a century. In a bizarre way, everybody loves the thrill of being afraid, whether it's for the jumps or the adrenaline rush. But what ideas and agendas go into creating a horror movie?
I worked on one horror movie with a director named Laurent Barre, who they hired to write The Strangers 2, or to direct The Strangers 2. But we worked on a different horror movie. I actually can't remember the name of it. But it was a lot of fun. It was a good experience. The film ended up not getting made. But I learned a lot about the certain things that they're looking for in terms of films, in terms of horror films. Like you have to have your first scare, and then 10 pages later they need another scare.
Horror movies can trigger a different emotion in each person. We all crave something when it comes to watching them. Each person has their own reason. Former playwright and instructor Samuel Williams started his career in New York as a playwright for 10 years. Recently, he's had one of his plays adopted into a film expected for release in January called The Revival. He's had experience with development of horror films and why people watch them.
Well, I mean, you feel something. You go to the movies to feel something for the most part, and horror movies kind of tap into, our fear of death. And we can experience that, but then we don't die. I think that's something that, kind of makes us feel safe.
23-year-old Jason Link is an experienced movie watcher, especially when it comes to horror films. He faithfully goes to the movies at least once a week. His older sister was the one who introduced him into horror movies.
When I was 8, I was just terrified because it's Freddy versus Jason, but I loved it because my big sister kind of had me growing up on Halloween and all that good stuff.
The best horror movies are full of suspense. Suspense involves creating anticipation that something bad will happen, but not knowing when it will occur. Some of the most shocking horror scenes create anticipation, but then violate the audience expectations.
Suspense and imagery. So like in the new It, they have like a lot of like creepy imagery, but it's not like terrifying. It's not jump scares, but you just see him do really, really, really just creepy things. You just see him like twitch weird ways, the way he moves, just things like that are gonna haunt you at night versus just like one scary image or like a pop-up.
Horror movies make grown men jump out of their seats while their female counterparts cower. Others just sit there, motionless, eyes open and visibly shaken. Those are the kinds of physical reactions that only horror movies can deliver to men and women alike.
For the most part, I know more men that like horror movies than women, but the women I know that like them more than men. So it's kind of a toss-up, the women I feel like either really, really hate horror movies, they don't even want to hear the music, or they're really into them.
The previews are what sell horror movies. When you see those creepy killers or those jump scares, that's what makes the movie more promising. The only problem with great preview scenes is the hope that all of them aren't the best part of the movie.
What they show usually is the scares. If they figure they can scare you once in the preview, then you'll probably go see the movie.
Scenery is key when it comes to horror movies. It could be a neighborhood, a school, an open field, or even a rural area. No matter where a horror film takes place, it's an essential element to setting the visual plot for the movie. This alone can make or break a horror film.
They try to put you in locations where you can't get help. The first thing you kind of see in the movies are they're all talking about how their cell phones don't work because they're so far out from civilization and whatnot. There's also kind of a real fear of rural areas.
Horror movies can be an escape that stimulates anxiety and fear for horrible events. It's a position where you can literally be against all odds, but the idea of my having to be there can be so exhilarating. Horror movies are an adrenaline rush to some and horrifying to others.
It's the same reason people gamble. For the most part, when people are gambling, they're not necessarily even gambling to win. They're gambling to lose and survive it. And to walk away and say, you know what, I did that and I'm still alive. I'm still here. There's kind of something refreshing in that to lose a piece of yourself but yet still survive, still exist. And at the end of the horror film, no matter who dies, we know one person's going to be left standing.
I'm DK Kellum, and you're listening to mavradio.fm.
It's survival of the fittest. It's usually one person standing at the end of the movie. The one person who made it alive against all odds, but also made a few sacrifices along the way. Now let me call up DK here to do a little chat. Beep, boop, beep, beep, beep. Hello. Oh, hey,
Hello.
DK.
Hello, how are you
wow,
doing?
where are you at?
I'm located right in front of Twin Creek Theater.
Anything scary going on there?
Not at all, man. I'm here in the studio with you guys.
So, DK.
Oh, there he is.
I'm scared by Lyle's scare.
I'm
Who
scared
is
of me
it?
too.
So, DK, tell us what is your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie has to go to the original It.
The original It?
It was the first scary movie that I saw. It was 1990, and it was the first horror movie I've ever seen. And it was a double tape, so that's how far back that goes. I was watching on VHS.
Let me ask you a different movie. How about, here's a scary film, Toy Story.
Woody?
They're alive, dude.
Alive toys?
Dude, toys are not supposed to be alive. I'm sorry to say that. And also, I would agree with you on the It factor. By far the scariest movie I've ever seen. In fact, I think that he is the old clown in the first It movie is way scarier than the new.
Yeah,
the
Mr.
new
Curry. Yeah,
Pennywise,
he was amazing.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that he portrayed himself as the clown, and he was scary back in those times. But the humor that he did along with everything else was excellent.
Yeah. Least favorite scene in that whole movie, the shower scene. Like being that kid and being terrified of like the shower heads, and then having a clown come out of a drain. That's terrifying to me.
Well, I mean, I was looking at some clips from the old It, and I probably the scene that I remember the most is whenever the balloons are going up and they're popping and the blood splattering all over people's faces, but it looks so fake compared to like the blood today and the special effects that we have. So the movie's definitely outdated, but the acting will never be outdated.
Do you want to know a film that my parents would not let me watch, which makes no sense?
Jurassic Park: Lost World.
No. Well, I mean, I can see where they were going at with this, but they wouldn't allow me to watch any of the Harry Potter films. But here's the catcher: they would let us watch like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, anything else, but Harry Potter was off limits. They also would let us play like Grand Theft Auto. That wasn't an issue, but Harry Potter, real issue.
Why is the question?
I don't know. I think my parents were like, witchcraft, gotta be bad, gotta be evil. But Darth Vader killing people, that's fine.
You know what? It sounds like my mom, and my mom is actually tuning in right now. Good thing she's tuning in now, not when I was talking about her earlier.
Oh, geez. Actually, to relate to that point, Zach, I have a film that my mom would also not let me watch when I was younger, and it was actually Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because the Frozen King or the Winter King or whatever the villain was hurt Santa Claus, and she was like, "Nuh-uh, nobody is hurting Santa Claus on my hour." So
You know what really is hurting Santa Claus? Those cookies.
that's true. Also, the fact that he kills children in his off season You know, because Carissa had that story earlier where it was like,
The Hatchet House.
Hatchet House, it's great for tours, but Santa was also there, and there's some urban legends, and the people killed people. So I'm pretty sure it was just Santa behind all of it.
Lyle's starting some conspiracies here tonight.
Yeah, that's what Mav Radio's for, is a nice big conspiracy. We've got Devin holding up an Illuminati for some reason in the studio, so I hope that I don't get possessed.
Well,
We're
I
all
mean,
possessed.
I'm not getting possessed. I believe in the Lord and Savior, and I believe He will protect me and keep me away from whatever it is going over there with you, Lyle, who needs an exorcism right now.
Very good, DK. So what do we got up next, guys?
Looks like we have Lyle. You're going to be introducing the next couple of packages. Stories. We got a couple left, and we're dwindling down towards the end of the night.
Yeah, so we've got, before we take this break, we've got pop-ups with Katie Zimmer and a little story about sidekicks with our friend Stoyan. Going out back to the field to hear what these guys have to say about those two topics. But before that, we're going to take a quick break.
Do you hear that? Is that blood? Are those bones? Show yourself. Haunted Heartland, only on mavradio.fm.
That's right, you heard it here first. 5th Annual Haunted Heartland, here with your host, Lyle Kukuski, alongside Zach Padilla and DK Kellum. What is up? We're here at the top of the third hour. Thank you for sticking around with us here on mavradio.fm. It's been a real great honor, and we've had some really great stories so far. Wouldn't you say so, DK? Or
I would definitely say so. I mean, the Satanist story,
yeah,
hands down, was the most creepiest one so far. I mean, just the way the guy talked, it was like he was all about that Satan life.
Yeah, and not only that, like the first story, we led off with a guy who kept a mummy in his house. Like,
I know who does that.
Not me.
I mean, did they interact with Tom Cruise and getting ready for the newest Mummy film?
That is a very good question. I don't think Gabe said anything about meeting Tom Cruise, though.
So I had to walk back towards Elmwood after this. So I'm looking for volunteers to walk me back so I don't get murdered, because after listening to all these stories, I'm pretty terrified.
That there's a service for that actually here on campus. It's the public safety and security. I think they're dressed in police uniforms, security uniforms, and they can help you out. So,
how do I know that they're not just dressed in costume?
It's a very good question. I'm not sure how you would know that, but that's for you to figure out and me to keep going on some of these stories. Zach, literally, what has been your favorite story so far? What scared you the most?
Definitely the Satanist one has definitely been my favorite, just because that guy was actually spooky, in real life spooky, not fake spooky.
Yeah, well, what about the pagan story, Would you ever sit down with a pagan and have a grilled cheese and some tomato soup?
I don't like talking to people in general, so I would just probably avoid that too.
So we're lucky that you're actually talking to us.
Yeah, I interact with 3 people a week, and that's my max. So you guys, after this, I'm going into hibernation, skipping all my classes for the rest of the week.
We would never endorse skipping classes here on mavradio.fm. But Zach might endorse skipping classes on mavradio.fm. DK, what do you got for me here?
So my mom just texted me.
All right.
And she heard me talking about her, and she was like, "What did you say about me whenever I wasn't listening?" Well, Mother, you will not know. I have to come home sometime tonight, and I'm not coming home to you being upset with me.
That sounds like the start of a new horror film. DK's Life, brought to you by his mother.
And you know what your mom always says? I brought you into this world, and I can take you out.
Yeah, my mom said if I ever got a tattoo, she'd literally rub it off with sandpaper and then beat me into the ground. So
do you have any
really
tattoos?
Cool. I do not.
I don't either. What about you, Zach?
I do not have any tattoos, but if you want us to tattoo Lyle live in a studio, send us your submission.
Yeah, I'll get whatever you want, and then my mom will rub it off with sandpaper.
I got the perfect tattoo for Lyle. We should get the hog wild symbol from the barbecue joint.
That is not scary at all.
Right on his shoulder.
How is that related to Halloween whatsoever?
I don't know. You're just a country man. Just that hog wild. I just think of country man. That's just you.
I thought my radio name was Lyle Scare, not Lyle Country Man.
Or Lyle Barbecue Man.
How about just like UNL's logo? Just to kind of hit you over the head, because I know you're a big UNO fan.
I am a huge UNO fan. In fact, I don't think I own a T-shirt that isn't UNO. Is that scary? I mean, that's kind of semi-scary.
How about we just get a jack-o'-lantern with vampire fangs on it and call it a day?
DK, that's probably one of the worst ideas you've had today in studio. I would much rather get a McDonald's logo on my arm.
Mickey D's?
Yeah.
Get a large sweet tea tattoo on your shoulder?
Probably not. But my least favorite story, or my favorite least favorite story, the one that scared me the most was probably the interactions that we've had so far on the phone calls. You know, Analia seeing the hand, even though it was probably her own when she took her picture. When Enrique saw that figure and it was Analia, I think Analia, in fact, is probably the scariest person in the whole Haunted Heartland.
But what's so
persona.
crazy is she's one of the most quietest people
Yes.
you'll ever meet. And it just seems like all the crazy, horror, frightening things are just following her. It's just the quiet people you always got to be worried about.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But with that being said, we're kind of just rolling right along here on MavRadio.fm's 5th Annual Haunted Heartland. Upcoming, we've got a couple more stories with people live out in the open doing their thing. I kind of said that weird, but you know what I meant. So keep it tuned here to MavRadio.fm, and we will keep laying the wood down and telling you the stories of what you really want to hear. So with that being said, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with those next stories.
We here at Mav Radio are proud to announce the sports broadcasting team headed by Noah Sullinger has won a prestigious national award.
Correct pass back to Bacher. Now Davenport. Shot clock running down. Davenport with the three, and it's good.
The Broadcast Education Association Media of Festival Arts has declared the Mav Radio Sports Broadcasting Team of Noah Sullinger, Justin Eidelman, and Justin Doring winners of the top honor, first place for their best live sports play-by-play coverage in 2016. More than 1,400 entries from 175 different universities and colleges from around the country applied for these awards, and UNO's Mav Radio notched the top spot.
Mavericks putting on a show tonight.
The lead up to 12 for the Mavericks, and it'll lead to a timeout by the Bison.
A well-deserved award. And you can continue to hear the best UNO sports coverage only on MavRadio.fm.
Long days? We can do that. Stressed about class? Come chill out with us. UNO Health Services has the extended hours to suit whatever ails you. Our certified staff is ready to help out from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Thursday.
That's too wonderful to be true.
Make a free appointment by visiting us in room 102 of the Hyper Building.
You have an appointment.
Fancy a phone call?
You used to call me on my cell phone.
Then call us at 402-554-2374. That's 402-554-2374. UNO Health Services. Your campus, your healthcare. This message is brought to you by UNO Health Services and Mav Radio.
Today's technology is changing faster than ever. Feeling a bit overwhelmed? Never fear, UNO's Creative Production Lab is here. Located just north of the Circulation Desk in UNO's Chris Library, the Creative Production Lab has everything you need to succeed when it comes to projects involving today's technology.
Need to create a larger-than-life film project where you're flying through the sky and shooting lasers out your eyes?
Well, look no further. The lab has a green screen, so all that's possible. Need to record audio but can't find quite enough space? Check out the lab's Whisper Room.
To record audio good enough to air on the radio.
Other awesome features of the lab include 3D printing, large format scanning, and so much more. Don't know where to begin? The lab has friendly staff looking to help you make your project
into the most epic project ever.
Check out their homepage on the library's website to see their hours of operation. And don't forget to like the UNO Chris's Library Creative Production Lab on Facebook.
And welcome back to Mav Radio's 5th Annual Haunted Heartland. I apologize a little bit for that dead air back there. We didn't have an actual break there, so Devin kind of threw us in a curveball, and it really sounded great, I think so.
I don't think Devin threw us through a curveball. I think you threw us through a curveball.
You're right. I threw like 6 baseballs at him, and he caught them all amazingly. And here we are, still on the broadcast. Speaking of baseball, There's no
about the World Series.
Yeah, seriously, this isn't a sports show. So are you guys? Neither of you are dressed up in studio here. I'm a little bit concerned about that.
Well, I told you the story earlier about how my mom didn't let me, dress up, so it still kind of resonates with me. So
That's
no,
very
thank
true.
you.
Actually, in fact, Devin is the only guy who is dressed up here in studio. Looks pretty good, and I know he has an FBI name, but I don't know what it is. What is it, Devin?
It's Detective Brian O'Brien.
Detective Brian O'Brien. He's got a badge here. He's got big old sunglasses, a set of handcuffs, and I think he's got a sweet badge too. And he is pulling something out from underneath the desk. We're not going to mention that because it's pretty dangerous. With that being said, Zach, why are you not dressed up?
Well, let me just say, I was at work today, and you were allowed to dress up at work today, and I didn't. And someone said to me, "Oh, are you going as like a hipster or something?" And I was just like, "No, that's just, I guess, me now."
DK, why are you not dressed up?
I'm not dressed up because I'm just not really a dress up type of guy. But if I did dress up, I would want to dress up as Ric Flair. So just so I can walk around everywhere and just go, woo!
That's actually really great. As I was actually walking, I was getting ready this morning, and I was like, I'm gonna dress up. I'm gonna dress up. So what did I do? I went to the closet, opened up the closet door, had a construction helmet, put it on, drove to school in it, then realized how ridiculous I looked, and I left it in the back seat of my car. So there's a construction helmet in the back seat of my car of a costume that I never wore. So I wasn't even good enough to be a construction worker. Shout out to construction workers. They work hard.
That manual labor, I'll tell you a quick story about manual labor. I did manual labor in Savannah, Georgia when I was right when I graduated from high school.
That's not scary at all.
I know, but this is scary though. So I quit after a week because on day 7 exactly, we had to lift 150-pound trusses up 3 stories with no ladder. I mean on a ladder with like nothing to help pull it up. That's scary, dude, when you're carrying a big old thing like that.
DK, I really like your life stories, but unless they get us followers on Facebook and Facebook Live and Twitter, they aren't really doing too much for us. So please, followers, go out there, tell your construction friends, hey, we got this MAV radio page. They really endorse construction workers, so you should go out and follow them.
You just keep burning me, Lyle Scare. I just can't help it, man.
Yeah, I'm here to scare and to burn. So with that being said, we're gonna move right on into the
turn
next
and burn, like literally
last block of stories. We got reporters standing by live out in that snow, so we better get them back here. Next story is with Katie Zimmer on pop-up Halloween stores. During the Halloween season, you may commonly hear what are you going to be for Halloween? The possibilities are endless. So what better place to find a perfect Halloween costume than the Spirit of Halloween store? Reporter Katie Zimmer went to the Spirit Halloween to get an idea of what costumes customers can expect, not costumes. That's what they're going to buy.
I like being alone. I don't need friends.
Halloween is here and people are rushing to find the perfect Halloween costume. Fortunately for them, the newest store manager of Spirit Halloween, Mitchell Fisher, is here to help.
So when they come in, the first thing I do is greet them and kind of get an idea of what they're looking for. If they're looking for more of the horror genre, or if they're looking for the princess fairy tale or superhero, things like that. And I like to lead them in that direction.
Every year on October 31st, kids, and sometimes adults, dress up in costumes and ring strangers' doorbells to fill bags with candy. Halloween's heritage dates back to the Celtics, who used to dress up in costumes to blend in with ghosts. In the Omaha area, Spirit has plenty of stores with a huge selection of Halloween costumes, decorations, animatronics, accessories, and more.
Spirit Halloween is the #1 Halloween retailer out of any retailer in the industry. And that's really what keeps people coming back year after year, is their variety, their selection, their continuous innovations in their animatronics, lighting, everything like that.
The average price of a Halloween costume is $45, so something a lot of people on a budget are doing is making do-it-yourself costumes. It is also a popular choice for people with the creative side. Fisher says although homemade costumes are becoming more popular, it doesn't affect business.
So we have a lot of people come into the store probably majoritively for the convenience factor. So I don't feel like when customers create their own costumes at home, I don't think that hurts our business much. We do have various prepackaged costumes as well as different pieces to create your own costume if that's what the customer decided to do.
Customer at Spirit, Megan, says why she enjoys shopping for costumes and why it is a special part of her Halloween tradition to try and find a new and exciting costume every year.
I think out of all the places to find a Halloween costume, Spirit really has whatever you're looking for to make the perfect costume happen. I like to go to Halloween parties every year, so I like having the option of something new and different that I can wear to impress my friends.
This year, because of makeup tutorials on YouTube, Megan decided she wanted to be a gypsy and put her own spin on the costume idea.
I saw some makeup tutorials on YouTube and I wanted to do something kind of darker and mystical. I wanted to step away from the typical gypsy costume. I wanted to do it a bit edgier and have really deep red colors. They have really cool headpieces and jewelry at Spirit Online, so I thought I'd come check it out in store.
Spirit Halloween can make a lot of money in just a short amount of time. Fisher says the store actually pulls in between $30,000 and $60,000 of revenue in 2 months over 1,300 store locations throughout the United States.
And that's really what keeps Spirit thriving throughout the years and coming back every year stronger with more innovative products.
Finding the right costume can be a lot of work. For Fisher, he enjoys his job and tries to make finding the perfect costume easy and stress-free.
I think it's really great seeing a smile on that customer's face when they actually get the costume they were looking for. If they get the costume, do they need the makeup to go with it? Do they need the cane to go with that king costume or something like that? So it really is enjoyable when you see customers leave happy and that they're all ready for their Halloween festivities.
I'm Katie Zimmer from mavradio.fm.
Although it might be a little late to get a Halloween costume now, Spirit will stay open on Halloween night to get those last-minute costumes. Luckily for us, we have Katie Zimmer right inside one of the Spirit of Halloween stores, giving us a live look. Katie, are there any last-minute costume grabbers?
Hey, unfortunately, Spirit is actually closed right now. So,
what?
Yep, you're out of luck, guys. Sorry.
So did you grab a last-minute costume? Are you wearing a costume now?
I am wearing a Mav Radio host outfit.
Nice.
Way to support Mav Radio.
Nice.
You know.
So, Katie, what are some of the top costumes that we did see this year?
Well, a lot of kids, I think, probably went for Moana, since that was like a really popular movie for kids. And then also, I think Wonder Woman was a big one. And
nice.
Then if you're looking more for like adults, then I'd say probably It the Clown was a huge costume that people were looking for.
Actually, I saw on social media that LeBron James actually dressed up as It, so that's kind of strange.
Yeah, And who wouldn't be afraid of that big guy?
6'8", 260-pound It.
Yeah, for sure.
That can dunk a basketball.
Yep, and then, from what my dad told me, actually, the Donald Trump costume was a big, popular one for this year, so.
Really?
That's fake news.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but that sounds like fake news. You're right.
And what do you think about adult costumes?
I think they're okay if you're, like, going to, like, a Halloween party, or maybe if you're, like, passing out candy, you probably want to look scary, or maybe, like, depending on what you're going for with your candy passing out. But otherwise, if you're just, like, doing it to be just, like, whatever, I think it's probably kind of weird.
So, Katie, what are some of the best costumes that you've ever dressed up in?
Me and my sister were obsessed with Britney Spears.
Oh.
Circa 2008.
Wow.
So we liked our little sparkly crop tops, and we would dance around our living room listening to some Britney Spears.
That's really great. You know, DK's first costume that he ever wore was, in fact, a beige bed sheet.
It was white, but after 2 years, the white went away and it turned beige.
So I just figured you should know that. So maybe he can go down to Spirit next year and actually get us or get a real costume instead of wearing his
Yep.
beige bed sheet.
Well,
So.
What would you
like my
suggest?
story said, if you're trying to look for some cost efficiency, then that's probably a good place to start. So good job, DK, on that one.
Thank you. What would you suggest?
Well, I'm not really sure. I
He-
think the It costume would be pretty cool. For
He looks kind of like a Wonder Woman type.
Yeah, I could see him working the cape, doing a little power fist up in the air.
All right. Well, thank you, Katie. You go and keep searching for Spirit costumes, Spirit of Halloween
Yep, I
stores
sure
that you can go
will.
into. So
Okay.
next up, we've got Storian Kresovic with his story on psychics, seances, tarot card readings, and more. Storian Kresovic travels to another realm in an attempt to see what being a psychic is really all about.
I've been a practicing psychic for a little over a year and a half now. My techniques include cold readings and also conducting seances in an attempt to reach otherworldly spirits.
Sarah Winks is an amateur psychic. Winks is trying to establish herself more locally, but says it's hard in a town and state where so many people are unwilling to venture past their realm of what they think is normal. Winks says Omaha is an interesting place to practice her abilities, and while many psychics have built their business here, it doesn't include seances. That means going past the reality humans live in.
We also don't have a shortage of creepy, spooky things, so I feel this is a great place to establish my psychic base.
However, psychic readings are in fact becoming a lucrative, profitable business. If you Google search Omaha Psychics, it comes up with at least 30 to 40 results.
The stigma that comes with referring to yourself seriously as a psychic is enormous. I get looks all the time if I'm conducting seances at my local park, or even when I do tarot card readings.
The word psychic originally comes from a Greek word meaning mental. Practicing psychics date back to ancient times in Egypt and have been practicing for hundreds of years. Throughout the years, there have been many famous people who have claimed to be psychics but have been ousted and exposed as fake, such as when Uri Geller was exposed on Johnny Carson.
Doc, we are back. Uri was telling me you don't feel, what, strong tonight?
I don't
Is that...
feel strong. It's not all tonight. Right now I'm feeling being pressed, and then I can't...
Well, I'm not trying to press you. I'm really not.
No, you're only telling me, well, will you try that or that or that?
Well, I thought that was the idea of no, I'm not trying to put you down.
Winks says her goal is to show people that psychics aren't crazy but are people with an innate ability to be able to take a person's energy and turn it into something positive. Jake Murray has had readings done by Winks several times and participated in a seance.
It was a very interesting experience, to say the least. I wanted to contact my friend whom died a few years ago of cancer. At first we started in a seance and there was some really weird chanting. From there we moved on to the actual reading. I was told I was missed by the person deceased and that they loved me. It was all really weird.
Winks says she tries to cater every reading she does to that specific person's experiences.
I don't want everyone to experience the same thing. Some people come to me because they want to contact the dead. Others come to just hear their fortunes. I want to specifically make sure that everyone has a unique experience. And the best part about it is I'm not the end-all be-all. It's all just interpretation.
While something like a tarot card reading doesn't require anyone to be a psychic, it is often used as a start to the reading in order to gauge the other person's energy. Energy is very important to this process, Sarah says. In an optimal situation, the other party must come into the reading with an open mind and open heart. As long as those are open, more energy will be allowed to flow throughout the reading and it will flow a lot easier.
I could definitely feel the energy within the room, particularly during the seance. The entire time that the reading was taking place, I could feel a sort of heavy weight on my heart, as if my deceased friend was telling me they were heartbroken. We never did get to say goodbye to each other before she passed, and I felt a sense of closure after the reading was over. The weight had dissipated.
Imagine being able to contact someone you never thought you could speak to again. Some revel at the idea while others want to leave well enough alone. It was that person's time, so they should finally be allowed to rest. Jake's experience is one of positivity, but others have not been so lucky.
I know friends who have met with psychics before and note weird, strange things happening to them in the subsequent days after their readings. I was mainly afraid of that, and I didn't want to introduce something into my life that shouldn't be there.
Wanting to avoid uncomfortable situations with her clients and their loved ones who have passed, Winks assures anyone coming to her that any unfriendly spirits are not welcome in her circle. She accomplishes this by performing chants before the ritual starts.
I have heard stories from people explaining how they have had terrible experiences after their readings, and that is something that I do not want to happen with me. During my readings, there's only an attempt to conjure up good spirits.
Millennials are known as a generation more in touch with their feelings and emotions. Winks says she expects the practice of psychic mediums to continue to grow.
It's amazing how things are rapidly changing. I truly believe that this practice will continue to find new ground and be a lot more popular in the years to come. I tell people to come on out and try it. You never know who you can talk to.
For mavradio.fm, I'm Stoyan Kresovich.
All right, and we're back. Are you ready to return to this realm? If so, stay tuned. We have more coming up. Stoyan, what are you doing out there?
We're out here at Seymour Smith Park. It's a pretty eerie scene out here. It's really dark.
Yeah?
Definitely very creepy out here. Definitely a place where you could conjure up some spirits for sure.
You don't happen to have sunglasses on. Is that why it's really dark out there? Or?
No, nothing like that. Just very scarce lighting out here. So yeah, it's pretty spooky.
Oh, that's good stuff. Tell us, have you ever had your palms read or a seance done or anything like that? Do you have personal experience with that?
I have actually, and it was all definitely pretty creepy to say the least. I didn't try to actually contact anybody myself, as so much so as I got to want to get my own fortune read. But yeah, that's been my experience with it, and needless to say, it was very interesting.
Yeah. So, do you feel any differently after your reading, or is it just kind of like whatever?
I don't know if I would say that I feel really different about anything. Like the psychic that I interviewed said, it's all just really comes down to interpretation. So I feel like you could go to almost anybody and hear something different. But yeah.
Where do you think would be the most uncomfortable place to get your palms read? Any ideas, Stoyan? Most uncomfortable place?
For me, the most uncomfortable place would be probably in their actual home, because I feel like I'm going into their territory and in their realm. So it's anybody's ball game at that point.
Mine personally would probably be a public restroom. If someone tried to come in and read my palms in a public restroom, that would be not only awkward for them, but also awkward for me. So
sure.
Thanks a lot, Stoyan. I really appreciate it. Out there in Seymour Smith Park, make sure that there's no seances going on. Tell them to go home. It's pretty much Halloween's almost over. So, with that being said,
sounds great.
With that being said, we're going to hand it over to DK for the last two stories of the evening.
All right. When we come back from our commercial break, we will be talking about things that make you scream, and then we will cover a story kind of like we've already covered here earlier. So if you want to hear that, make sure you stay tuned to the 5th annual Haunted Heartland on mavradio.fm.
You're listening to Haunted Heartland on mavradio.fm.
It's showtime.
You are listening to Haunted Heartland on mavradio.fm.
UNO's scariest station.
And welcome back to Mav Radio, where you listen to the 5th annual Haunted Heartland. I am one of your hosts, DK. We got Lyle and we got Zach in here, and we're down to our last two stories. How you feeling about that, fellas?
DK, it's Lyle Scare to you, okay?
Excuse me, Mr. Scare. I apologize for what happened again.
That's what I thought.
Yes, sir. We're getting down to our last two stories. Thank you to everybody who's been listening to our stories throughout these 3 hours. These 3 hours have definitely zoomed by. And it's been a great time here in the studio. Just want to give a shout out to everybody who's out in the field and who has been out in the field. And definitely another shout out to Devin, producing and running the board for us tonight. He's been huge here. And just want to give that love to Devin.
It's zoomed so fast, it's scary.
Boo.
Thanks, Zach.
And moving on, we're going to take you inside a place where the majority of everyone has been in their lifetime. It's a common activity to do during the Halloween season, going to haunted houses and paying to have people scare you. Reporter Mackenzie Parsons takes us behind the scenes to the people who chase us with chainsaws, drink blood in butcher shops, and pop out when you least expect it.
Those are just some of the things a person might scream or hear while walking through a haunted house. The people who work at these haunted houses, like former Scary Acres employee Dylan Schumann, heard things like this all the time while he was dressed as different monsters. Dylan's favorite monster to play was the line monster, which is the person that scares the people waiting in line.
Because I had a full prosthetic zombie face, and I had chains wrapped around me in this shredded trench coat, and I carried a machete, and I'd hit it against the concrete and make these sparks come up, and it scared the hell out of people.
Almost all of the employees are volunteers who work from September to November 1st, so their joy that they get out of doing this kind of work is seeing people get scared.
The more you run, the more we're going to scare you.
The big question of the day is, how do you become an employee at one of these haunted houses, like Scary Acres? Dylan started in 2005, and when he started, there was no audition process to become an employee at Scary Acres.
It wasn't necessarily an audition process. You just had to go in, sign a waiver, and then voila.
Scary Acres manager Josh Rattay says the new audition process that has been installed since Dylan's arrival isn't scary at all.
Basically, we ask you pretty normal questions like, do you have any allergies to latex? Are you claustrophobic? And we have you kind of do an impression of monster, whether it be a zombie or a vampire.
Josh gave some advice to those who would be willing to take on the challenge of joining the haunted house business.
In the audition process, we try and have it as relaxed as we can. And so we just kind of want you to come in there and do your own thing and do what comes naturally to you.
Josh and Dylan say the people who don't make the cut for the Scream team, which are the people who do the acting, get to work concession stands, the ticket booth, or they get to do pop scares. Pop scares are the people who pop out of walls and doors for a quick second to say boo.
Even if you're like a regular dude, you can still scare people.
For the people who do make it to the Scream team, they have their costuming, makeup, and props all paid for by Scary Acres. They then get to play all sorts of roles in all sorts of places throughout Scary Acres, House on the Hill, Haunted Woods, and Master's Castle. Dylan played a lot of different roles over his 4 seasons of being there.
In the Haunted Woods, I played a crazy man who I had this severed leg. I literally chewed on and would babble nonsense to people as they came walking through.
After making it onto the Scream team and learning their character, the actors must learn their weapons. Some use machetes, some use daggers, and some use chainsaws.
They disconnect the rotation mechanism and then they loosely glue bike chains on them to make it look like, but they're real chainsaws. I mean, real gas, you have to prime them up and whatnot, so they're real chainsaws. And the machetes that we would use are actually metal. They're not sharpened. I mean, well, if I were to come up to you and stab you, you're gonna get stabbed. But it's not like if you just graze on it, you're gonna cut your finger or anything.
Josh Rattay says for anyone who is interested in becoming a volunteer actor or otherwise, please contact Scary Acres.
Yeah, you can check us out at our website, scaryacres.com.
I'm Mackenzie Parsons for mavradio.fm.
Scary Acres offers screams and thrills throughout each of their 3 attractions. For more information on pricing and such, visit scaryacres.com. If you're brave enough to withstand the terror, Scary Acres is located on 172nd and Giles Road. That's actually where reporter Mackenzie Parsons is now. How are you doing, Mackenzie?
I'm all right. A little cold.
A little cold? I mean, I believe you. There were snow flurries out there today, so you have to be cold.
Oh, yeah.
Mackenzie, that's scary.
Very.
Have you seen any line monsters or chainsaws yet?
Nope, just a lot of people dressed in clown costumes, actually.
That's just the trendy thing going on now. I mean, it just ruined it for everybody. It's clowns.
Yeah.
So tell me about the scenery around Scary Acres right now. You hear a lot of screams and stuff like that?
Heard a couple screams. There's a very nice big bonfire over there right now. I really kind of want to go over by it. It looks so warm.
Yeah, it is a little chilly, so I'm going to let you go ahead and head over to that bonfire. You enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, you too.
Yes, ma'am. After many generations of families and years of immigration, Dia de los Muertos continues on strong ties to its Mexican heritage. Ana Rodriguez has the look into how traditions have been carried on.
Dia de los Muertos is a 2, sometimes 3-day holiday, where the living celebrate the dead. It was celebrated mainly in central and southern regions of Mexico, until families began to migrate. Today, Dia de los Muertos has found itself inside the homes of many Mexican-American families. Writer and artist from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Angelica Mercado, came from a home with strong Mexican traditions and culture.
My mom made sure to celebrate every single holiday. I remember growing up celebrating the Day of the Dead and Dia de los Muertos, and she started off always by talking to us about our family members that are deceased, and she would tell us their stories, her favorite stories with them, memories.
Some families have chosen to embrace their cultural heritage after starting their own families, incorporating Dia de los Muertos into their traditions.
My grandparents didn't. My mom always knew about it, and the pueblo did it as a celebration for the community as a whole. They'd have parades and face paintings and sugar skulls and piñatas. My mom always makes sure to keep the culture going, and she wants our siblings to know where we come from and what we celebrate, and it's up to us if we want to continue the tradition. But I think it's beautiful that we're able to do that and to know about it.
Dia de los Muertos is about coming together as a family or community. History professor Maria Abeliz from the University of Nebraska-Omaha calls herself a Mexicanized Colombian. While studying in Mexico, she learned the importance of Dia de los Muertos.
It's a celebration of life. Death is part of life. Things have to die to give life. You see, you're not celebrating the dead, you're celebrating that everybody's coming together, the closeness, the celebration of life.
To honor and welcome their loved ones back from the dead, families and communities will set up altars where they place gifts.
There is an offering, and this is an ofrenda. It is an offering to the souls of the dead that are come to join the living, celebrate life.
Ofrendas are typically gifts that the deceased would have enjoyed during their life.
We had this altar, and she would put the photos of our family members and friends and family friends, and it grew throughout the years. She made sure to know their favorite foods and drinks. So for my great-grandparents, she knew their favorite tequila, their favorite food, and my great-grandpa liked playing cards, and so my mom puts out playing cards.
Along with the ofrendas, decorations are placed in the home, throughout the town, or cemetery.
You have to have the flowers. Then it's typical of this time of the year in Mexico is cempasúchil, that's the marigolds. Cempasúchil have a very strong smell. They're beautiful. To decorate, you're going to have a papel de china picado. That is cut paper. You're going to have the traditional Mexican incense, that's copal. Copal is the resin of the pine tree. That's when they have the food. And then you're going to put candles.
There is symbolism behind each thing used during the holiday.
You're going to burn the incense because the smell will orient, will guide the people coming in their path to find their families, their relatives, or their community, and also the scent of the marigold. It's the paper, because the wind will move the paper, so you have a direction. And then, of course, the candles, because the candles illuminate.
Along with traditions, Dia de los Muertos is also ripe with superstitions.
Growing up, we were kind of scared because there's this tradition that you put out water in a cup. And the whole idea is that your family members come back and retrace their steps, so to speak. And so they make sure to stop everywhere they once did. And so, you're in the middle of the night as a kid, like looking over your blanket, like, are they coming now? And, our parents would scare us. To this day, I don't know if it's condensation or if my mom just got rid of the water, but in the mornings you'd go back and the glass was empty or half full. Now it's kind of something that we pass it down to our younger siblings.
Families cherish these moments and use them as bonding experiences with their relatives and their culture.
My mom's a very creative person, and I think my favorite part, besides the stories, is watching her create, because she creates everything by hand. She will make these sugar skulls by herself, some clay and little skeletons and paper skulls, and just beautiful displays for them. So having our siblings get together and help my mom do that, and not only are you witnessing, you're experiencing it and you're taking part in it.
Some would have you believe that there are traditions that are a little out of the ordinary, such as serving a meal to the dead and waiting for their return.
So the tradition for us, once we've served, in a sense, the favorite foods, and I mean hot plates, you prayer to each of the individuals that we're thinking of, and we set candles, each person. People say that when the candle flickers, it's like their presence is there, and so we've had some neat experiences.
Traditions hold strongly in Mexican culture. Death is not feared, but seen simply as a part of life.
I remember the first time we did it after our grandfather passed away. My mom was talking about him, and the candle kept moving without wind or anything. After family members are served, we have a dinner ourselves with our favorite foods. We like to think that, they're there with us. For that moment, we share the table, we share a meal.
Dia de los Muertos is the combination of 3 different civilizations and religions. And even after 500 years, the celebration's roots still run deep into Mexico's history.
Conquest obliterated the Aztecs, and the Spaniards built on top of the Aztec civilization. However, you can kill a people unless all of them disappear. You cannot kill their culture.
For MavRadio.fm, I'm Anna Rodriguez.
Tradition holds that the dead will be offended by sadness and grieving. That is why these days are celebrated with happiness and laughter, to remember the lives and accomplishments of the dead. No matter the modifications or new destinations, Dia de los Muertos will remain within the spirit of its people. Anna, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Where are you at right now? Let all the listeners know where you're at.
We are actually standing in front of the Holy Angels Chapel and Mausoleum over on, I'm actually not sure what street, kind of over by 84th Street.
That's awesome. How's the activity over there? Like, is everything just chill and calm, or is it?
It's really peaceful. It was kind of crazy. We were getting close to the cemetery, and we're listening to Mav Radio on the car ride here, and all of a sudden it just stops the moment we get to the gates of the cemetery. We didn't know if that was some kind of sign or something, but we proceeded, and we're here, so.
Well, I'm glad you made it safe. So just a couple questions for you as far as your story goes. Being of Mexican descent, did you grow up celebrating Dia de los Muertos?
No, I actually came from a family that didn't really celebrate, and now that I am moved out on my own, I'm hopefully next year we'll be celebrating it. But my dad said that it was just something that wasn't a big deal in our home. Christmas was more my grandma's forte, so.
So whenever you are able to celebrate next year, what is it going to mean to you to finally be able to, dabble off into that celebration?
I think it's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to embracing that part of my heritage and being able to set up an altar and remember those family members, even the ones that have passed away in Mexico that I don't get to see. At least I'll be able to honor them over here in the United States.
Anna, earlier we had a story by Gabriel, and he was talking about seeing a mummy wrapped inside someone's house. Are you going to partake in that part of the celebrations of Dia de los Muertos?
Probably no mummies.
None?
No,
Zero mummies.
Probably not.
I'm a little bit disappointed.
Unless you want to volunteer as one.
What'd you say?
Unless you want to volunteer as one. I'll pay you in candy.
I'm good. I really am.
I definitely wouldn't mind wrapping Lyle up in tissue paper and just putting him in the casket. We'll get one from the mortuary where Phil Lemon was. Well, thank you very much for calling in and giving us your story. We really appreciate it. You stay warm, and we'll see you after a while.
All right. Thanks, guys.
And with that being said, we're going to take one last quick break. You're listening to exclusive coverage.
We didn't ever use that.
Exclusive coverage
exclusive,
of the
right?
5th annual Haunted Heartland on MavRadio.fm.
Haunted Heartland. Uncovering secrets we'd hope to forget. You are listening to Haunted Heartland on MavRadio.fm.
That is right. 5th annual coverage of Haunted Heartland is coming to a close. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. I am here alongside DK Kellum and Zach Padilla, but I just want to say thank you so much for listening to the 5th annual coverage of Haunted Heartland. A lot of really great stories. DK, what do you say, man?
I just want to say thank you to the viewers also. To the viewers and the listeners also. This is the first time I've been able to cover this, and it's definitely been a pleasure. Just want to give a big shout out to all the students that put together these hard-earned stories and were out in the field. Gabriel, Ben, Melanie, Analia, Enrique, Carissa, Phil, Cassie, Lyle, me, DK, Katie, Stoyan, Mackenzie, and Anna.
And I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to our people who are here in the studio tonight with us, helping us out. Devin, Aaron, Jodine, everyone else who helped just make the show go smooth. We thank you all for listening to the 5th annual Haunted Heartland here on Mav Radio.
Well, boys. You did good job. It's too bad I'm going to kill you now.
You mean drink our blood?
Well, yes, but not right now. I just had strawberry smoothie before coming back here, so I will do that later.
Literally never heard of a vampire that wasn't thirsty.
That's because you've never met me.
Yeah, we did. In the drive-thru, remember?
Yeah, I definitely recall that. You drugged us and put us in a radio studio and then made us host the show.
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry.
As you should be. Now untie us, you ungrateful drive-thru vampire.
And give us our burritos.
I'm sorry, boys. It's just tough sometimes. Life is hard for a vampire like me. First, the city condemns my house, deeming it unlivable. Then my parents disown me. Next thing I know, I'm working at a late-night burrito place, barely making ends meet.
There, Mr. Vampire. It's okay. Just let us go, and we'll pretend like this never happened.
Okay, fine. I'll always be a loser vampire, I guess. You know, the only reason I kidnapped you was to impress my parents so I could prove I was talented again. Mav Radio's Haunted Heartland was only way out.
Aha! Surprise attack!
Lyle, what the heck? He was confessing to us. Why would you hit him in the back of the head?
Zach, this isn't my first rodeo. I know exactly how these drive-thru vampires work. First, they don't give you a burrito, then they kill you.
What? I don't even know how you would know that, and I don't really care.
I love to take my baby to a movie show, so I can try to smooch her while the lights are low. But she won't cuddle to a story of romance. There's only one way I've got a chance. It takes the Batman, Wolfman, Frankenstein, or Dracula.